James Wood is finally back from the IL. When will he make his big league debut? We'll talk about that and more in today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Onay. You can find me on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it, at Matthew_Onay. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time I drop a new episode. Also, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you may listen. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast, check us out on the Diamond Club and check us out on Subtext and become a member of the Diamond Club, where you'll get a whole lot more than what we offer here. Waiver wire rankings, prospect call-up notifications, be able to ask us questions. Link is in the description below, and you get a free 2 weeks just for joining. I promise you will not be disappointed. Today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball is brought to you by Tax Network USA. Did you know that it's never too late to resolve your tax issues with the IRS? Don't wait. Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals and call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. And guys, it's a good episode today. Obviously, you saw I talked about the big kahuna at the top of the episode. Probably my favorite prospect this year because I think he's going to be the one that actually doesn't disappoint this year. You know, it's just a matter of when will he be called up and when are we going to be when we're going to expect to see him come up. And I'm going to talk about all that right now. James Wood, right? James Wood, Washington Nationals prospect, huge man. Okay, he's like a mountain, 6'7", 235 pounds. You know, coming off the hamstring injury finally, and is ready to start cranking the ball out of the park and hopefully making his way to the bigs real soon. Before he went down to the hamstring injury, he had 168 at-bats. He had 39 runs, 13 doubles, 9 home runs, 31 ribs, 10 stolen bases, 36 walks to 37 strikeouts. Oh, that's amazing. Batting .351 on the year, an OBP of .463, a slug of .589, and an OPS of .1053. The dude was crushing it. He has a long history of just being successful and doing his thing. Last year, he had 26 home runs. He had 28 doubles, 91 ribs, and 18 stolen bases. This dude has it all. And if this plate discipline is real and he's able to, you know, obviously he's not going to walk 50% of the time. There's very few guys that can. But if he can even come close to just be, you know, not one of these guys that strike out 27% of the time, he's going to be a full-blown 5-category contributor. James Wood is an interesting and very exciting prospect. I think he's one of those that cannot fail. He's 23% owned, and I think he needs to be stashed more widely. Listen, now the question is, when will he be called up? How long are you going to be holding him for? And, you know, ultimately, can you afford to hold him on your bench for this long? And these are all questions I can't answer for you. But I can answer is when, right? I don't think next week. I don't think right after the All-Star break. I think, if anything, end of July, beginning of August, or if we don't see him by the end of July or the first week of August, it's going to be right when the September call-ups get called up, right? Right when that contractual period, whenever that date is, and he pretty much just slips in there and goes, hey, I'm here now. They get that another year of control. James Wood then plays out the end of the season, which is still going to be great because at that point now you're going to be able to say, okay, cool. I'm going to have him. He's going to perform, hopefully, and ride me right into a championship because I stashed him. Now, it's going to suck pretty much having a dead bench spot and holding James Wood from pretty much June 20th, day you're listening to this, and all the way to September. It's going to be, 2 months of doing this? Essentially, in 2.5 months. It's not going to feel great. It's not going to be fun. You might have to drop him if, you know, a lot of injuries start piling up and, you know, cross that bridge when you get there. But ultimately, I feel at this point, you should stash him if, right, any chance they just say, okay, cool. We're bringing him up. It is what it is. He's coming up. We're doing this. And You don't want to be on the other side of it where you're going in and this kid just decides to rip off because you were late to the party and he decided to just destroy your team by playing this kid and picking him up. So James Wood needs to be added now in all leagues, in my opinion. And I'm stashing him as long as I humanly can, as long as I have the position to do it. But yes, James Wood, mustache. All right, let's move on to another prospect. Brady House. Brady House, man, he's another one I'm very interested in. Another Washington Nationals prospect. They are going to be the next Baltimore Orioles because they have a lot of good prospects. I have 3 of them on this podcast today, I believe. And we're going to be talking about how great it is to be a Nationals fan in the next couple of years. Brady House, 6'4", 208 pounds, plays third base and short. Okay. This season so far, he has 221 at-bats, 34 runs, 7 doubles, a triple, 11 bombs, 27 ribs, 5 stolen bases. He's walked 22 times to 66 strikeouts. He's batting an ugly 240, an OBP of 321, a slug of 430, and an OPS of 751. Now, the end of that really didn't sound that great. OPS of 751, I'm not mad at. I'd prefer it a little bit higher, but I'm not mad at. The slug is OBP could be better. Obviously, batting average definitely could be better, but this kid has a track record of being successful, right? 2023, he had 340 at-bats, 52 runs, 21 doubles, 3 triples, 12 bombs, 47 ribs, 9 stolen bases, and batted a 312 at an OBP of 365, a slug of 497, and an OPS of 497. Okay? It's a little bit better. Now, I think the power is legit. I think he's going to be a guy that hits 25 home runs to possibly 30 at some point. He's only 21. He is due to be called this year. That's where all the projection sites are saying, hey, he should get the call this year. Where I see him at this, when do I foresee him being called up? Probably a little bit after James Wood, right? So if James Wood is called up next, right after All-Star break, which again, I don't see, more like end of July, middle of July, or then House will be up in September. They're going to try and roll him out. And I'll be excited to see this. I'm excited to see what he's going to do, especially if he starts picking up in the minors, which that can happen at any moment. Brady House can be a very interesting ad. Do I think he's going to hit? I'm not sure. He may take a little bit more time to develop. We've seen it, right? Like other prospects don't just come up and smack the ball out of the park like guys like Eloy De La Cruz that get off the hot starts who then eventually got figured out, but that's all another story. Or, like Jason Dominguez got, don't get me started on his damn obliques now. Brady House is just somebody that I think needs to be not stashed, but at least kept on the watch list, kept here in the back of your mind and, monitored to see if he gets the call. And if he gets the call, you're going to want to add him at least as a speculative. We might not roll him out there the first day or so and kind of just play right there. Join the Diamond Club and I will get you that notification the second he gets that call. And that's with any of these guys. So please check us out on there. But anyway, Brady House is definitely going to be somebody I'm definitely watching, waiting to see what's going to happen and adding speculatively. But anyway, I'm going to move on because I'm talking in circles. All right. Might as well get this next guy out of the way. We're going to talk Dylan Cruz, right? Dylan Cruz, another Washington Nationals prospect. This is great. 5'11", 203 pounds, was drafted essentially this year. Last year technically in the draft. Okay, first real full year at the minors, or he has more at bats. But anyway, dude had a great collegiate career in 2023. In obviously playing for Louisiana State. 258 at bats. He had 100 runs, 16 doubles, 2 triples, 18 bombs, 70 ribs, 6 stolen bases. Was batting a wonderful 426. And just all the other numbers are incredibly inflated because he was in college. But here's the thing, what I like about what he's doing this year, right? He's already gone from AA to AAA. He is on a total between the two, 191 at-bats, 26 runs, 11 doubles, 3 triples, 5 bombs, 38 ribs, 38 ribs, 15 stolen bases, 16 walks to 50 strikeouts, batting 267, an OBP of 335, a slug of 435, and an OPS of 770. Now, obviously, he just got into AAA. Do not get me wrong. When do I think he'll be called up? If he's called up, September. But normally we wouldn't be talking about him in in redraft leagues, but it's definitely somebody that you might want to just watch, put on the watch list. You get the notification, he gets the call up. You don't want to miss out. He's going to be a special talent as well. They load it up, and Dylan Cruz is a part of it. I feel Dylan Cruz, if he gets the call, could be wonderful. Do I really think he's going to be called up this year? No, but I'm seeing projections that he might. And that might, that maybe, that question mark tells me he needs to be looked at and he needs to be watched and seen. So keep an eye on Dylan Cruz. And, if he gets the call, we're going to hop all over it. All right, before we move on, we talk about a dude like Marcelo Mayer, Shane Boz, and guys that you should be stashing that are on the IL. We'll be back right after this. Here on Locked On Fantasy Baseball, we pride ourselves on getting the latest news for our teams. Whether it's the offseason, draft, spring, or playoffs, it's year-round. And you know what else is year-round? Collection season, unfortunately. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS won't stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property, which we all don't want that to happen. Don't let the IRS target you. Let licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A-plus rating at the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debts. Whether you owe taxes or have compiled matters that require tax planning or finally hit that parlay this season and need to correctly file it, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon and see the link in the description below. You ever worry about what will happen to your family? God forbid something happens to you. If so, you need to check out Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money, and you can provide your family with the financial safety net today. Policy Genius can find you life insurance policies that's starting at only $292 per year for a $1 million coverage. Some options offer same-day approval, avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius even helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is hands-on to help you talk through everything. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. What may need to consider is your work life insurance may not be enough may not offer you enough to protect your family's needs. Even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your job, which in most cases, it's not going to. Policy Genius gives you unbiased advice from licensed expert support team. They have no incentives to recommend one insurer over the other, which is super key. So you can trust their guidance. Check their life insurance off to your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedon or click the link in the description below and get your free life insurance quote today and see how much you could save. policygenius.com/lockedon MLB. Are you watching Fox Sports and ESPN on your TV all day? Have you had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today, 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. This season, rely on our dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call notifications, injury actions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of those fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. And new members get a free 2 weeks. So don't pass on that alone. Check us out. I promise you're going to want to stick around. But all right, let's get back in it. Let's keep talking prospects and then move into some guys that are sitting on the IL that probably need to be stashed. But we got a prospect that I actually like, Marcelo Mayer, a prospect from the Boston Red Sox. The dude is young too. He's a young blood, 21 years old. He stands at a nice 6'3", 188 pounds, soaking wet. So he's a skinny little boy. But at the same time, he is a nice bat. And I like the potential. All right. This season so far, he has 234 at bats, 48 runs, 24 doubles, 6 homers, 32 ribs, 12 stolen bases, 24 walks to 55 strikeouts, batting 308 on the season. He has an OBP of 373, a slug of 487, and an OPS of 860. He looks good this year. Now, why do I like him so much, right? Well, in 2023, he had 13 home runs through 314 at bats. If the dude gets close to, 540 at bats, I foresee a 25 home run season. I also see a world where he steals bases and he probably walks away with about 20 to 25 stolen bases on top of it. He is quick. He does have good sprint speed. And I think that he's going to fit into that Boston Red Sox lineup pretty nicely. So Mayer is somebody I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on as well. He's projected to get the call this year, and everywhere that I look, it's going to be fun if he does. Again, he's probably going to be more of a September call-up, but he's a name that we need to start talking about, being aware of. And the whole purpose of this show is to make you aware of certain prospects. And obviously, we start off with the James Woods because everybody's wondering when he's getting called up. And then I'll bring your attention to other guys like Mayer, who needs to still be on your watch list. And I think that if he gets the call up in September, we need to be all over that as well. But let's move on. Let's talk about a name that could be called up at any moment, and that's Shane Baz. Shane Baz, I really don't know when, how, or why they still have him down, especially after how he's looking in the minors right now. Just saw a report today. 8 strikeouts on Friday at AAA. 10 strikeout gem the other week before. This dude is just striking at everybody, not giving up runs, and is looking just like the Shane Baz we hope for. Shane Baz has all the potential in the world. He has great stuff, a good arsenal of pitches, and somebody that could seriously be like the next Tarek Skubal if he does get the call. Shane Baz is 57% owned, so he's out there in 63% of leagues. And honestly, I would not pass up on him whatsoever. Shane Baz is somebody that will be an instant contributor the second he gets the call. Tampa Bay just needs to get smart. The only problem is there's a couple of obstacles, and why I probably believe that he hasn't been getting the call, but I think there might be an opportunity now. They have a quasi-deep rotation, but guys aren't performing. Aaron Savali looks like caca-doo-doo. And I think there might be an opportunity for Shane Baz to come in here and, take the job. And they might send Savali down. Savali might even be the reason can explain why he's been performing so bad is maybe he's hurt. He's also one injury away, I feel, from getting the call. The only other obstacle is going to be how long does he stay up if he gets called up tomorrow once Jeffrey Springs is healthy. Another guy that's on this podcast today. If he gets the call, who are they going to rather have in their rotation? It's obviously going to be Springs. So Baz might get sent down again. I mean, also, too, they're not going to run him to the dirt anyway. He's only going to get so many innings this year. So another reason why I think it would probably be in the second half of the season, probably closer to the end of July. But you never know. If there's a rotation on necessity and Springs isn't ready, Baz is going to get that call first. And hopefully he can hold on to that job. We shall see. But I like Baz's, future looks. And Baz should be stashed everywhere at this point. You don't want to miss out. And people are catching on. He's 57% owned. By the time you're listening to this podcast, it will probably be at 60. Baz needs to be stashed everywhere. Stash him now. And normally I try and sneak in another guy, but we are coming up on that time. So before I start talking about IL guys that need to be stashed, I got a quick sponsor for you, but I want to give you a little preview. We got Eloy Jimenez, Devin Williams, Gavin Williams, and a whole bunch more. Stick around. We'll be right back after this. That instant confidence boost you get from a new outfit that makes you look real good? That's what I get with Stitch Fix. My style is basic. I like a polo, jeans, a tee, right? Stitch Fix sent me a shirt that I never buy for myself, and I ended up loving it and rocking it all the time. Easily upgrade your wardrobe this year with a professional stylist that helps you find new on-trend favorites that work with you. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preference. I order a box and how I want it, when I want it, no subscription required. And they send me 5 just-for-me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and pro styling advice. I keep what works and send back the rest. My stylist always sends me just right pieces, and fit is absolutely on point. It's like they have ESP or something. I don't know. They just get me, right? Style that makes you feel good and look good is all that matters. Now is the best time to get started with Stitch Fix at stitchfix.com/MLB and get $100 off. That's $25 off your first 4 fixes for a limited time only. That's stitchfix.com/MLB for $100 off. Stitchfix.com/MLB. Must redeem within 7 days of sign up. Offer does not include kids fixes. All right, we are back, and we got a whole last bit of show here, and we're going to make this quick, and we're going to hit this right. And we're going to start off with my boy Eloy Jimenez of the Chicago White Sox. All right, he's coming back after the hamstring injury and finally getting in a rehab assignment, and thank God, okay? I am excited to have him back. Eloy Jimenez is somebody that I am super excited to have back out on that field. My dude just needs to be great. Okay. He has all the upside in the world. Obviously, we all know what he could do. And if you don't, I'll get you on pace or on the same page as me, essentially. Right. Last year, even though he was hurt, he still had a good year. 456 at bats, 50 runs, 23 doubles, 18 bombs, 64 ribs, 30 walks, 93 strikeouts, batted .272, a .317 OBP, a slug of .441, a .758 OPS. Looked great. And honestly, in 2022, he just looked good as well, batted .295. Look, the kid's ultimate upside is 2019. I think he can get back there without a doubt. Where he hit 31 home runs, he batted .267, which I think the .295 is more legitimate. I think the runs are probably going to look like Luis Robert in a full season. I'm saying not now, not hit the second half, but basically be like 85. That would be a full season for Eloy. Eloy would be that good. Now, my problem is Eloy just can't stay healthy. He's almost as fragile as Alberto Mondesi. I don't understand what's going on. This dude needs to, stop eating the candy bars and start working out and stretching, because that's what keeps you on the field, bro. But ultimately, I think that there's better days to come. Through 134 at bats, he does have 5 home runs. The batting average was not desirable, but also too, he's been on and off the field all season. Hopefully this time he comes back, he's able to get stuff right, and he's able to look good and kill it. So Eloy Jimenez, I think right now should be added everywhere. 32% owned. Chicago White Sox player. Do not sleep on him now. Add him and stash him now. He should be back in a couple weeks. All right, let's move on. Let's talk Devin Williams. Devin Williams, this was the most surprising thing I've seen. And the reason why he's on the show is he is 60% owned right now, which is not where he was with the beginning of the season. People are dropping him because there's a whole boatload of injuries this year. The worst injury season I've seen. I feel like we're playing fantasy football right now with the amount of injuries. And Devin Williams was one of the ones that started real early, back injury. He was supposed to be back after 2-3 months. We figured we'd seen him by now, middle of June. Nope, now it's pushed back to the end of June. But I'm not worried. I'm going to add him. I think he's going to be successful once he comes back. I'm going to stash him as long as I have the IL spot. And I'm going to hold him as long as I can until my roster either tells me I can't do it anymore, or, you know what, they push it back even further, and then we'll readdress this issue. But right now, Devin Williams needs to be added. At 60% owned, this is a guy you need to check the transaction page and see who's getting dropped. Check every day. I make that part of my daily routine as a fantasy baseball player, and football for that matter. You go and you see who's dropped, and one man's garbage is another man's treasure. And if Devin Williams is going to be dropped, he's your treasure, I promise. Devin Williams will be the guy and eventually be the stuff that we all want him to be. And now, who's picking up a top 10 closer off the waivers? Not many people. Add Devin Williams if he's out there. All right, let's talk about Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams, this one I'm super excited about. He is 50% owned. Hey, people are dropping him. He was drafted pretty highly. I had him ranked before he got hurt as a top 40 pitcher. Okay, I am bullish on him. He was my favorite pitcher in that organization coming up, and he's working his way back. Gavin Williams had the elbow inflammation at the beginning of the season. Finally got a rehab start on Sunday. It's going to take a couple more starts before he can get out there, maybe 1, maybe 2, but he's going to get another one this weekend. So you're going to want to keep out, follow this. He should be back. I'm seeing expected return. That's probably when he's first eligible on the 25th, which would be next week. So if he got to start this weekend and they say, hey, he's built up, he looks good, maybe he'll start next weekend. And we're going to be super happy. So Gavin Williams needs to be added now, because I promise this kid is going to be gold. Last year he had a 3.09 ERA after having a horrendous start, was able to get that ERA all the way down, had 82 Ks, and was really, really dominant, honestly. And, I love the kid, right? Like, you look at what he did in the minors, too, as a young man, right? In 23, before he got the call, he had 60 innings pitched, 80 Ks, and a 2.39 ERA with a .97 whip. And then same thing in 22. He had a 1.96 ERA through 115 innings pitched and 149 strikeouts. The dude's a stud. He has great stuff, a good arsenal, and he does throw a decent fastball. So Gavin Williams is a dude that I'm super high on and needs to be added legitimately everywhere. Do not sleep on Gavin Williams. Add him now. All right, let's move on to Jeffrey Springs. They mentioned him earlier in the show. Another guy, I've been stashing him for over a month and a half. If you don't know who he is, plays for the Tampa Bay Rays, and Jeffrey Springs is out there in a bunch of leagues. Let me just pull up his availability here. But I love this kid. Let's put it this way. He is 18% owned, and that needs to rise. Jeffrey Springs should be back. Let's see what they're saying. Right after All-Star break, he's getting his rehab outings out there. He should have about 2 or 3 more, honestly. But he's hitting about 92 miles per hour on his fastball. He's looking good. He's striking guys out. Only gave up a hit, no earned runs. Struck out 3 in his first outing, threw 3 innings, and scored 6 batters. Like, these are encouraging signs. This kid could be very good. The second he returns to the league, truthfully, I'm all about what Jeffrey Springs' upside could be. He's incredible. Let's put it that way. And just so you kind of get like an idea of who he is, let me just pull this up real quick. Springs here. Here we go. Jeffrey Springs in 2022, which was the season that he pretty much was your Tarek School, 135 innings pitched. He had 144 strikeouts. He had a 2.46 ERA with a 1.07 whip. The kid is awesome. Do not sleep on him. Stash him now, and do not forget about the kid. I promise he's going to be fantastic. Add Jeffrey Springs now and stash him. Anyway, guys, I'd have one more name, but unfortunately I can't get to it. We're running out of time here. But what I will say is, guys, we have a new schedule coming up. Instead of being released at 6:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, it's going to be released at noon Eastern Standard Time. And it's just to kind of make it a little bit more convenient for the listeners so you don't have to wake up as early. Also, too, it's going to help the show get a little bit more traffic, and that's ultimately what I really want here. But guys, thank you for being here with us. Hopefully Dom returns to us at some point this season. And, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, share this show with everybody, please. Your brother, your sister, your uncle, your friends, scream it from the rooftops, share our post. It will go real far for us, and we would truly appreciate it. Guys, thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.